Okay, this is Josiah Plays Sunless Sea. We are sitting in Port at Estival. We're gonna do some stuff here. Actually, let's go ahead and let's do some more terror reduction here. Terror reduction. Time ashore. Let's do it again. Okay, now I'm going to sit in port again because I need more supplies. So, I go to Denver, I'm on the run, I'm a fugitive, I'm wanted, I know I'm going to go to prison eventually. Like, there's just no chance I'm going to not ever get caught. So eventually I'm going to go to prison, I know that. I'm real worked up over it because I don't like the idea of getting caught and taken back to Nevada and having to go to prison, for obvious reasons. It's 1 minute each time, Jen, the wait in port. So I do the most logical thing I can think of when a person is in that situation. And that is, I go and commit another worse felony. So I get this wild idea in my head one day while I'm chilling with my friends at my best buddy's house in Denver. I get this wild idea. I think, what if I robbed a bank? And I'm like, because check this out. I think one of my friends had worked at a bank and mentioned something about how the tellers there were instructed to always give you the money no matter what, or whatever. And I'm like, hey, I don't have a gun or anything, because I don't like guns. I've very rarely ever had a gun in my life. And I've never liked guns. So I don't have a gun, but I think I don't need a gun. Wait, we're going to save. So let's try not to fuck this up. I don't need a gun. I can just walk in there and tell them I have a gun, and they have to give me the money. It's a perfect crime. What could go wrong? So, I decide to rob a bank. Now, there is a difference between robbery and burglary. It's a pretty big difference. Burglary is a much more serious... No, reverse that. Robbery is a much more serious crime, because robbery is a crime of violence. Burglary is when you break into a place with the intent of taking some shit. You break into a place and you take their shit. That's burglary. It's a felony, but it's not a real serious felony. Robbery, on the other hand, is when you use violence or the threat of violence or the implied threat of violence to make somebody give you something. And it's a much more serious felony. So, I go into the bank and I wait in line. What am I doing? Oh, I'm doing this. No. What am I doing? I want to reduce my terror some more. Man, this is great. All the terror reduction you want for 1 supply each. This place is awesome. All right. Let's sit here and get some more supplies. So, I owned a gun. Well, earlier in my life, yeah, years earlier, I had owned a gun fairly briefly. But in this time in my life, I did not own a gun, and I hadn't for several years. So, I go to the bank. I put this long coat on, this long like duster trench coat type thing. I put this like camouflage army cap on, and these big wraparound sunglasses. And I had a beard at the time, and I thought, okay, I'll go in. I'm basically disguised. They won't be able to see my clothes underneath. They won't be able to see hardly any of my face. I'll kind of keep my head down. Then as soon as I get home, I'll shave my beard off, dye my hair, and get rid of these clothes and stuff, and it'll be really hard for them to identify me. That's what I'm thinking. That's about as much planning as I did. You understand, I did this bank robbery like off the cuff. I just did it one day. I didn't plan it. I didn't case the place. I didn't think about where I should hit or what they would have or anything. I just did it because I felt like it. Which probably sounds crazy, but yes, it actually was crazy. And I've been having some hallucinations and stuff before this, which I hadn't had in a little while. So that contributed to it as well, but Anyway, so I go there and I wait in line because there's a line. So I had to wait in line. And how many bank robbers wait in line? Well, I mean, I guess if you're going to do the note type bank robbery, you're going to wait in line. I didn't have a note. Everybody always asks me that. That's the first thing they ask me. Like all the people in prison that ask me that, you know, about my crime, they always ask me, did you use a note? No, I didn't have a note. Why did I need a note? Why does everybody think you had to have a note? I just told her. I mean, I kept my voice down, you know. Okay, let's try this. Oh, I didn't want to lose a crew. Hold on. So I just walked in, and finally I got to my turn, and I walked up to tell her, and she was this really young woman. It turned out she was only like 19 years old, which I didn't know at the time, and I kind of felt bad, because apparently, I found this out later, apparently I scared her really bad, and she was like terrified and needed, you know, like, what do they call it? Therapy or something afterwards, apparently. Which I didn't think I was being very scary, honestly, but, you know, you can't really say what somebody's going to be scared by. So I finally get up and I walked up to her and I just sort of leaned in and I said very quietly, I have a gun, and I gave her a bag. I had a plastic sack, like a plastic grocery sack, and I handed it to her. I said, fill this up with money. Don't say anything to anyone. And that's it, and I stood there and I waited. And she did it. She put all the money in there. She didn't say a word. She gave me back the bag. I stuck the bag underneath my coat, and I walked out. Very easy, very smooth. I thought, no problem. I got this. This is going great. Well, there were some problems with this. First of all, the problem is there's a thing called a die pack that they can put in there. And I watched carefully everything she put in the bag, okay? I wasn't, like, looking around. I was watching carefully everything she put in the bag, and I thought all she put in there was money. But I was wrong, because they have this thing, and it's concealed inside what looks like a bundle of money. But it's not just a bundle of money. It has a little sensor inside of it, like a little chip, and a thing with, like, a flare, and a thing of this red dye that will not fucking wash out of your clothes or off of your skin, you know, like your hands, for like a very, very long time. It took me weeks to wash this dye off my hands. And when you get a certain distance away from the bank, so there I am, I'm just walking back out to my car, just casually, like nothing's gone on. But I got a certain distance away from the bank, and suddenly there's this little popping sound underneath my left arm where I have the bag tucked. And I feel this burning sensation because the thing ignites in there like a flare, and it puts out all this red smoke, like shitloads of red smoke, and it actually burned me slightly. I was so out of it, though, I didn't even realize. I reached in and I grabbed it, and I went to my car, and I held it in my hands, and I stuck it under the driver's seat of my car. I didn't even realize the dye until later, till after I was already in jail. I was so out of it, I didn't even realize that it had all the dye on it, or that it dyed my hands. But I just saw the smoke, and I'm like, oh shit. But I kept it cool. I just walked on like nothing was going on. Like, what? Don't we all just have red smoke coming out of us? Perfectly normal, nothing to see here. But what happened was, some guy, and there's always one of these motherfuckers, honestly, some lawful good asshole who decided he had to be Johnny Law, saw this, and decided he was going to help bring me down. So he got in his car, and he followed me. Unbeknownst to me, because I'm looking out for cops. I'm not looking out for some random person in a regular civilian car. He gets in his car, and he follows me, and he calls the cops on his cell phone, and tells them what he saw and where I'm going, and he follows me and tells the cops where I'm going. If it hadn't have been for that guy, I would have gotten away clean. I'd have gotten away clean if it hadn't been for that guy. But we had to have fucking Joe fucking Vigilante here follow me and call the cops and tell them where I was going. Gain 10 supplies. Thanks for those supplies. So, and I didn't even know this. They just told me later that that's what happened. I didn't see the guy. You know, I'm not exactly like Mr. Counterintelligence or anything. I don't notice if somebody's following me. So, we're just going to keep working on this here. So, Yeah, dye pack's effectively a smoke grenade, which are treated with epoxy. I don't really know what that means, but it sounds legit to me. So anyway, the dye pack got me. Now I know. If I was to do it again, which I don't think I'm going to do, but, you know, can't rule anything out. If I was to do it again, I would know better. I would tell them, don't put a dye pack in here, or else I'll come back in here and shoot you in the head. If any dye pack goes off in here, I'm coming back in and I'm starting shooting. Now, if I'd said that, I think she wouldn't have put the dye pack in, because she was already really scared. But I didn't say anything like that. Please note that I did not say anything scary to this woman. All I said was, word for word, more or less word for word, my memory's not perfect, but more or less word for word, all I said was, I have a gun, fill this bag up with money, and don't say anything to anyone. That's it. I didn't threaten her. I didn't say, I'll shoot you. I didn't say, I'll kill people. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything menacing other than I have a gun, which I understand you're implying that you would use that gun in some way that they didn't like. But I didn't specifically say that I would do anything violent. Yeah, that doesn't matter, though. They still consider it a violent crime. Because the implication is enough. And apparently she was terrified by that. I don't know, I probably looked pretty dodgy with the army cap and the fucking duster and the beard and the sunglasses. I probably looked pretty dodgy. And she probably assumed I really did have a gun. I don't know. Oh, they said it wasn't very much. It was only like $7,000. Wasn't very much. I mean, for a bank robbery. Gather supplies. Boom! Got some. You could pretty much just sit here doing this forever. So, anyway, they arrested me. Oh, this was another huge showdown with the cops, though. This was awesome. So, they didn't just immediately... One cop didn't just roll up and pull me over. Oh, no. Finally, I notice a cop following me, and I'm like, maybe he just happens to also be driving this way. They don't know where I am. They don't know what car I'm in. I'm sure I'm fine. And then I noticed there's another cop back there, and then another, and another, and another. They're not pulling me over. They're not turning their lights on. They're just casually driving the same way I am. Until finally there was like 6 or 8 cop cars, and then the lights came on. And they all pulled me over at once and did the whole thing again with pointing all the guns at me, because this time they really did think I was armed, because I had, in fact, told her that I had a gun. So they were ready for a fucking showdown. These cops were ready to kill me right there in the middle of the road. And once again, they gotta throw me on the ground and get on my back and all that bullshit that cops do, you know, because, like, even when you surrender completely peacefully, they still treat you like you're a raving maniac trying to kill them. I didn't even need the money either. That's the thing. I didn't need the money. I had money. I had a job. I had a car. I had a place to live. I literally did not need the money. It wasn't even for the money. I was going to give the money away, or at least I was going to give some of it away. But I didn't need it for anything. No, I almost did it again. So this time, I actually went to prison. That's the one I went to prison for. And I did 4 years in prison in Colorado. Fortunately for me, they ran my sentence in Nevada concurrent. So essentially I was serving my Nevada sentence at the same time I was serving, so I didn't have to do one and then do the other one. That would have sucked. If only you'd stolen a couple of lollipops, that would make this... If I'd have been like, fill this bag up with money and put some lollipops in there. God, why didn't I think of that? That would have been great! Why didn't I think of that? That would have been so good. No, I don't want to lose one crew. What year was this? This was the very next year. Early, the very beginning of 2001. The very beginning of 2001. And then I sat in county jail for 9 months before I finally got sentenced, and finally they managed to transfer me. So I didn't actually enter the Department of Corrections until the very end of 2001. And then prison was really cool. I'm not even fucking around when I say that. It was one of the best times in my life, which can tell you a lot about how shitty my life has been. It was one of the best times in my life, though. I'm not lying. I turned down parole. I turned down going to a halfway house because I actually was perfectly happy to stay in prison. And I've many, many, many times since then thought about going back. But anyway, that's enough storytelling for now, I think. That's the story of my life that tends to amuse people the most. Castle, C-A-S-S-E-L-L. A lot of my other stories are not as fun. The ones from my earlier life. So then after that, though, nothing particularly adventurous has happened. After I got out of prison for the second time, I had to go back for 6 more months because I violated my parole, but that's not even an interesting story. I just didn't go see my parole officer for weeks and then had to go back to prison for 6 more months because I violated my parole. But that's not an interesting story. After that, nothing interesting has happened. Nothing. My life has been 100% boring ever since 2006 when I got out of prison for the second time. Well, that's a complicated question, Boss Pie. I felt very comfortable there. I felt like I belonged, and I haven't felt like I belonged anywhere any other time before or after that. That's probably the biggest part of the answer. Which might sound depressing, but my life hasn't been typical. I think I'm done here. I should probably stop fucking around here at Astival, really. What have I gotten my thing up to now? 35, not bad. Okay. Let's, reduce terror one more time, and let's go. We're gonna go. We're gonna go. Anyway, so I hope that wasn't too boring. Let's move on. I don't know where to go. Oh, let's go see if we can kill us a Lorn Fluke while we're here. Yeah, that would be cool. I really would like that as well, Saito, if Twitch let people know when people enter and join the channel. That would be really good. Prison is so much better than a mental hospital, by the way. People are always like, oh, I could get off on an insanity defense and go to a mental hospital instead of prison. That'd be awesome. They think that's a good idea. It's not. If you ever commit a crime and you're going to go to prison and you think maybe I could get off on insanity and go to a mental hospital instead of prison, don't do it. Do not do it. Because mental hospitals are fucking horrible. And prison isn't. Well, I mean, it wasn't for me. It might be for other people. I read a lot of books. Oh my god, the amount of books I read. I think I read like 800 books while I was in prison. That's the only reason I seem like I might be kind of smart sometimes. It's just because I read so many books in prison. Because I didn't have fuck all for education before that. I even took a few college classes while I was in prison. Got some credits, but I never, you know, did anything with that. Got a lot of exercise. Man, I was so healthy. Physically, that was the most healthy time of my life. I was running like 7 or 8 miles every day. Doing yoga. I worked out sometimes. I didn't work out the whole time. I never got, like, big and buff, really. But I did work out some. But I did a shitload of running and a lot of walking in the yard. And played a fair amount of chess. Read a lot of books. Did a lot of legal work. But now we're getting into a whole other type of stories. Did a lot of stuff to help people. Did a lot of typing. A lot of writing. Did a lot of writing. Both my own stuff and for other people. What am I doing here? Nothing. What am I even doing here? Why am I here? Get out of here, Chellin' I don't want you. I want a Lorn Fluke, though. Maybe I'm gonna save scum getting a Lorn Fluke. No, I didn't give anybody any tattoos. Although I did have a guy that did tattoos as one of my cellies once, so I got to watch him giving a lot of tattoos. Using like a homemade tat gun made from a motor from a tape player, and ink made by burning like the shiny glossy pages from the newspaper with the advertisements. By burning those, they could render down and get something that they could use as ink. There's a lot of ingenuity goes into the things that get made in prison. A lot of ingenuity. Okay, so let's just quickly save here, and then what I'll do is I will... Yeah, I didn't get any tattoos. I didn't get a single tattoo while I was in prison. I almost did, but I couldn't really think of anything I wanted tattooed on me that badly. If I would have thought of something, I probably would have got one, but... I've never been a real tattoo kind of person. Same with piercings. I've never gotten any piercings. Alright, so now we quit the title screen. The other reason I really liked my time in prison and always think of going back is because I was important in prison. I've never been important anywhere else before or after that, and I was important there. I had a certain skill set which was exceptionally rare there, and I had a personality which liked to help people, which was also very rare. So that combination of those two things actually made me fairly beloved. And everybody was my friend, and everybody took care of me and looked out for me and gave me stuff, and it was actually pretty awesome. Oh yeah, so now I just need to load... I forgot how to do this. It was mostly writing ability, typing ability, research ability, just general literacy. And even though I had very little education, I had kind of educated myself because I always read a lot as a kid, and I was really smart as a kid. I'm not anymore. I become considerably dumber with each year that passes, but I was really smart as a kid. And, you know, most people in prison have come from backgrounds where they do not have much academic proficiency. A lot of people in prison are illiterate or close to illiterate or not very literate. They don't have any writing skills. And prisoners have a lot of reasons for needing to write things. First is legal work. I did a ton of legal work for people. I mean, I wasn't a full-on jailhouse lawyer or anything. There are guys in there that they call jailhouse lawyers that actually know a shitload about the law and, like, do real legal work for people. Like, actually, like, you know, handle people's cases and stuff from within prison. Both civil cases, like lawsuits and stuff, as well as... Oh, there we go. We got one. As well as all these different motions and stuff that they need to file with the court, like motion for reconsideration, motion for appointment of counsel, writs of habeas corpus, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. And prisoners have a lot of reasons to need to be able to write this kind of stuff, as well as letters to judges, letters to, you know, their family members or their other people on the outside that they're trying to get to help them with things or do things for them. And a lot of people in prison are really bad at that, like super, super bad at that. Almost everybody is really bad at that in prison. So if you're good at that, you're kind of a rock star. And I wrote so many legal documents, so many motions and writs and stuff, and I wrote so many letters for people, and I was really good at it. And like, I mean, I got a lot of people out of prison and like helped people get like a lot of stuff done with their families. And people started coming to me for advice a lot, which was really weird because there would like be all these men that were like twice my age that would come to me for advice, and I would kind of listen to people, and I'd listen to their stories, and I just had a perspective that was different from most people in prison. And so I don't know, I was valued for that, I guess. They didn't have anyone else, you know what I'm saying? They didn't have access to all of the like real professionals, like psychologists and therapists and ministers and lawyers and all the sort of people that they would go to for various kinds of advice on the street. Maybe they didn't have access to any of those people, so what they had was me. And I was better at all of that stuff than anyone else in there, so I became kind of the de facto guy that you went to when you were having various kinds of problems. And as such, I was really highly regarded. And now on the street, I can't do that. Yeah, I was. I mean, I was kind of... The way I sort of look at it sometimes, I was kind of like the shaman for the people. I mean, And I was revered by some... I mean, that sounds like a silly thing to say. I even hate to say it because it sounds so stuck up or ridiculous. But I mean, there really were people that kind of revered me as a spiritual authority of sorts. Or a moral authority. And I did a lot of peacemaking and solved a lot of problems. Alright, we have 74% on this. Come on. I got a Colossal Flute Core. Yes! That's what I needed. And 3 secrets. Yes! They even made this thing. Some of the guys got together and paid an artist to make this, like certificate for me. Make it look all fancy and stuff. Thanking me for all the stuff that I did. And some of the guys called me an angel, which is a little weird thing to hear from hardened criminals. What am I doing? Why am I just sailing around randomly like an idiot? Alright, I got this thing. Let's get the hell out of here. I feel like I need to go... Alright, I don't have a lot of this stuff right now. Food. I need to go somewhere intelligently to deal with that. Let's go to Khan's Shadow. Food is relatively cheap there. So my point is, I was able to be someone in my community, because there definitely is a community in prison, and I felt more attached to the community and more a part of the community, and felt like I could just feel the presence of the community there more than anywhere else I've ever lived or any other situation I've ever been in my life. You know, on the street, I don't know my neighbors. They don't know me. I'm certainly not known in my whole neighborhood or my whole town or my whole state. I'm no one. No one knows who I am, and no one really needs me for anything. And no one really respects me for anything. And in prison, that was all different. I was really important, and really like an important member of the community, so to speak. So, for those reasons and many others, I loved my time there. And I look back on it with really... Why did I do that? Saito, why did you let me... That's all your fault. I'm blaming you, Saito. Somehow it's your fault. You just let me load that again instead of saving. And I think that just went back to before I killed the Lornfluke, too. I think I just fucked myself up. I need to stop doing that. Seriously, I need to stop doing that. That has to stop. That is no good. Okay. So, anyway, that's my point. I'm never really gonna be able to do anything meaningful on the street because you need all kinds of credentials, and you need to be highly competitive, and you need to be highly motivated, and I'm not motivated, and I'm not competitive, and I'm certainly not credentialed in any way, and I lack the motivation or drive or ambition to become credentialed in any way, and so I'm never really going to get to do anything that probably feels meaningful to me in my real life. So what do? I do this. This is what I do. I don't do anything for a living. I'm on disability. Permanent disability. I haven't had a job in, like, I don't know, probably almost 10 years. Wow, this thing's going crazy. Chill your shit, Lornfluke. Chill your shit. No, it's coming. Get off me. Get off me. No, no, I do not wish to be rammed, sir. Yeah, my schizoaffective disorder is the official cause of disability. I never really was able to work very effectively. I did have jobs. I had a lot of different jobs actually, because I never had any of them for very long. In my, early years, my teenage and early 20s, I had jobs, but I was never able to hold a job for very long. I was never really able to reliably support myself from working for very long. And always had a lot of disaster that took place while I was trying to work. So a judge decided that I wasn't realistically able to work to support myself, so they put me on permanent disability. Which actually is much cheaper for them, because they only give me like less than $10,000 a year in disability, and it costs them $25,000 a year to incarcerate me in prison. So really, they're getting a huge savings by giving me disability instead of incarcerating me. Huge savings. Yeah, Lauren Fluke was kicking my ass. Ooh, but I got the secrets in the Fluke again. The Fluke core. Alright, I need to go... No, you know where I need to go? I need to go back to Estival. If I need hunger, I need hunger. If I need supplies, why would I not go to Free Supply Central, which is just right down here? Cool. Ignore them. Can't be seen to take this shit seriously. Can't believe you guys got me to, like, talk about all this stuff and reveal so much personal information while I'm trying to play this game. That's what happens when you ask for story time. Look what you did. Look what you did. It's a miracle I'm still alive. I never felt physically in danger at any time during my entire 4 years in prison. There were times when I was in some sketchy situations where I recognized that danger existed, but I never felt that that danger specifically threatened me. I never had to fight anybody. Certainly never had to stab anybody or anything like that. I did have a shank briefly when I first got to Buena Vista, because my cellie at the time told me I needed one. And he got me one. But I never had to use it, or even imagine using it. And pretty soon I realized how silly it was and I got rid of it. Save. Good call. Not load. Save. Alright. Good call, Saito. This game seems to have a lot of downtime. Well, it may. I mean, if you're doing stuff like what I'm doing, normally I'm traveling around between different places and there's not so much downtime, but... No, I don't want to lose crew. Prison was not, by any stretch of the imagination, the most dangerous period of my life. My teenage years were worlds more dangerous than prison. I don't really want to talk about those years, though. Short story is my parents kicked me out when I was 14. I was homeless from 14 to 18. That's as much of that story I want to tell. It sucked. Supplies! No, why do I keep losing crew? What is this shit? Frostbound docks. Yeah, I've been known to stay and have tea a few times, but usually never more than 2 or 3 times. What is this losing crew every time? What is this shit? What is this shit, I ask? Like, existentially, what is it? Alright, good, that's better. I better reduce some terror while I'm here, too. I'm not going to improve my state anymore right now. I'm just going to stay and get some more supplies for the road and get out of here. I spent way too much time over in this little corner of the sea fucking around. I've always wanted to write a book about my life. I've tried, like, outlining some stuff. I've written a lot of things about my life, like little... I don't know what you would call them. Essays seems like a little bit too formal of a word. I guess just journal things, I guess, or just little stories and stuff. But I don't have the motivation to write a book either. I have material for a book. I definitely have material, but I don't have the motivation to write it. And I also don't really believe in myself, like that I could actually write it well enough that it would get published or that people would want to read it. So then I think, you know, what would be really cool is if I, like, had a writer that would actually write my book for me, and I could just tell them my stories and they could write it. But I don't really know how to make that happen. And I'm not even motivated enough to do that. Tell me I saved before I did that. Did I save before I did that? Wow. Really? With the losing crew? Are you shitting me? I don't think I saved before I did that. No, it wasn't a toothbrush boss pie. It was something that was actually made in the metal shop. I don't know how they made it, but it was basically just a little piece of metal with a sharp point on the end. At one of the prisons I was at, they had a dairy that actually provided all the milk for all the prisons in the state, and I had to work in the dairy for a little while. That sucked. Working at the dairy was no good. Not one of my best jobs. I did work in the prison library, actually 2 different prison libraries in 2 different facilities for quite a while. And I loved that. Working in the prison library was awesome. That was a sweet job. That was a sweet job. I think I liked that job more than any of the jobs I had on the street. Need 8 supplies. Nox is a big fan of dairies. Uh-oh. All cows do all day long is shit. And eat. But mostly shit. And they keep shitting while they're eating. They don't stop. They shit while they're eating. Their mouth is not fucking wow, what's the word I'm looking for? Their mouth is fucking nomming on this pile of this nasty, whatever the fuck it is, feed that they give them. And shit is just plopping out of the back of them, piling up as they're eating. It's nasty as fuck. And when they're not eating, they're still shitting. And when they're eating some more, they're shitting some more. All they do is shit. They're disgusting. Yeah, Nox wouldn't like me talking about cows this way. I'm sorry. I was a feed pusher. I had to walk up and down all these long, dusty, hot fucking rows between the cow pens, and with this like kind of rake type thing, like a and push these piles of this feed up against the fences so the cows could reach them, because they would stick their heads through the fence to eat the feed, but they would keep pushing the feed away with their face, so then they couldn't reach it and keep eating anymore. So I had to go around up and down, up and down, up and down the rows, pushing the feed back up against the fence so that they could keep reaching it and keep eating and keep shitting. That's the glorious days of the dairy farm. I only worked there for a couple weeks, and I was like, I'm out of here. Oh, lots of prisons have farms and dairies and all sorts of things that make stuff for the... just about every state probably has a prison with a dairy. I wouldn't be surprised. One of the places I was at had a wild horse program at the prison. Some of the people... I never worked in the wild horse program because it was a really hard job to get, because it was one of the best paying ones. They broke wild horses. And another one of the prisons, this was the women's prison, which obviously I was not in the women's prison, but I was in the RDC, which is right next to the women's prison. We could look out our windows and see them over there in the yard. They had a dog training program where they trained seeing eye dogs. That seemed like it would have been a really cool job. Worked in the kitchen for a while too. That obviously sucked. Cooking for a fucking 1,000 people. We had these giant, like, vats. I mean, seriously, that's what they were. They were like these huge cauldron type things. They're made out of stainless steel. and then we would cook like ludicrous amounts of soup or beans or whatever in for 1,000 people. The worst, though, was like the eggs. Making breakfast. And if you had the job of cracking all the eggs, because the eggs were like fucking ice cold, and you had to sit there and crack like hundreds and hundreds of eggs. It sucked. I never made Nutriloaf, no. I've eaten Nutriloaf, though, and it's fucking no joke. You don't want to eat that shit. It's nasty. No, I almost did it again. What's wrong with me? Alright, we're done here, aren't we? I just need to get one more thing of supplies. No, I don't want to lose a crew. But most of my time in prison, I didn't even have a prison job. And most of the time I did have a prison job, it was in one of the 2 libraries. They don't pay very good. There's a range of pay depending on the position, but they were all like, the cheapest was like 50 cents a day or 56 cents a day, and the best was like $2 a day. If you got that $2 a day job, you were fucking living large on that $2 a day. Like, oh man, he's got one of those good jobs. I'd be jealous of a motherfucker with a $2 a day job. No, I never got to use my sick ninja flips. No, never did. Hound and pizza delivery. Oh, fuck. What's this motherfucker think he's doing? Oh, that's an elder one. Do I dare fight it? I mean, I dare, yes, but the question is how much time is it going to take and how much fuel and supplies am I going to use up doing it? I'm trying to back that aft up. Could you just... Alright, here we go. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. No! Don't... Oh, motherfucker. They're going aft to aft. Never go aft to mouth. Alright, now he's gonna turn around. Now I have his fucking attention. Oh, come on. I'm right over here, buddy. Right over here, buddy. Buddy. He seems confused. Come on, buddy. ATM machine and not have it be redundant. Oh, nice. Nice. Oh, man, that always bothers me when people say ATM machine or PIN number. Motherfucker, it's already in the abbreviation you used. Got him. Now I'm concerned about my fuel. What did I get? 4 supplies, nice, and an unprepossessing mass. I got a tomb colonist. What was this character doing in there? Oh, you crazy tomb colonists. You know what? We're not done here. We're not done here. I hate to say it, but we're not done here. Call it a PI number. See, that just sounds weird. People should just say PIN. ATM. No extra word attached to it. No. I need those, and I need some of this right here. Down to 34. Wood and Z coal. Your citizens provide what they can. It's not the best quality fuel, but it'll take you where you need to go. And I need some of this right here. And I need... Some people, unless they actually hear number, they apparently cannot utilize alphanumeric nomenclature. I don't know, man. I don't know. Alright, I'm just going to stay here and get one more thing of free supplies, then I'm going to bounce. Then we're going to leave. Then we're going to get out of here. Waiting on you, Estival. Or should I say Sophia? There we go. Boom. Let's do this. Okay. Save, not load. Save. Supplies, please. No, I don't believe I wish to lose crew. Thank you. Oh. There we go. Okay, let's get out of here. Now, here's my question. You should sleep? Yeah, sleep's generally a good idea when one is tired. Sometimes I even follow that advice myself. Have a good night, Jen. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for chatting, as always. Good night. Wait. When did you say you wanted to do the D&D thing, or could do the D&D thing on Monday or Tuesday? Everyone should sleep. We should all sleep. In fact, I should just end this episode right here, because it's time. Whenever you're free Monday. Or, well, I'll be announcing it on the stream feed here for this, the channel feed for this channel. But I'll also send out some whispers, I guess, to you guys. Yeah, it's a new adventure every time. It's new each time. Although some people could play their same characters from the last time, or they could take new characters to be their choice. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Sunless Sea.